Well, Jim, let's go from Box of Awesome to WWE Raw, which, tell me what you think, but seems to be kind of slowly getting back to where it was. In terms of, I mean, the production looks incredible and the pacing, there are lots of things that are better, but this was one of those weeks where not a lot really seemed to matter.
Well, there was still things going on, but it slowed down on the star power. We didn't have The Rock, we didn't have Roman, we didn't have Logan Paul, we didn't have a variety of these big names, but we were in Montreal. Go ahead.
They were all filing their taxes.
Yes, because it was April 15th, tax day here in America, a day for rejoicing that you live another year. But was this the end of the sellout streak? They were in Montreal, the Bell Center. They said jam-packed. They said over 15,000 people. They never said sold out. They didn't put the graphic up. I think they came a couple. They came a couple short is what they did.
Yeah, they did. I think they did definitely cape a couple here. But SmackDown sellout streak is intact.
Well, yeah, but it was all TV sellouts at one point.
Well, now they can say SmackDown sellouts, and eventually it'll just be NXT sellouts.
I don't know if we're going to have a lot of those, but anyway, the big news that everybody wanted to know what we thought about, they started off the top of the program on Raw. Rhea Ripley, this is the dumbest fucking... she's hurt. She's going to be out. She had her arm in a sling. She relinquished the women's title. And of all the things, they have these matches where they do all this dangerous, death-defying shit in the ring. And she got hurt in a backstage angle, getting her shoulder run into the wall. And somebody on Twitter said, well, of all the people to do it, Liv Morgan. I agree. Of all the people to be involved with while you do it, it had to be her. Liv Morgan is completely useless. But it wasn't Liv Morgan hurting her. She ran. If someone is running you into the wall, unless they're really fucking stupid, they're not really running you into the wall. You're running your own self into the wall. And it was apparently a freak thing. She must have hit the point of her shoulder again, or whatever the fuck, against the wall, because what is it? The AC joint is out.
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
Well, so here we go. So now she's gone, and that's pretty much going to nullify my interest in the women's division over here now for the next few months. But just a stupid thing. Why, again, having her involved with Liv Morgan, whatever this goddamn fascination is they have with this Liv Morgan that anybody could buy, that she's going to be a badass or kick the shit out of anybody. She looks like a fucking Barbie doll next to a goddamn Rhea Ripley looking like a goddess. And they got to do an angle in the hallway, and she's got to run her shoulder into the wall. She's got to accidentally fuck herself up. So she had fire and emotion in her promo, and she said when she comes back, she's coming back for blood, and that got a big pop. And then Liv came out, and security kept them separated, and they go to the back, and Judgment Day give her a hug, and Damian Priest gives her a pep talk, and then Rhea tells him to take care of Dominic, and she walks off into the fucking sunset. I'm highly fucking dismayed and pissed over this.
I'm pretty pissed right now, too. My gardener just showed up. He's not supposed to be here on this day. No, you will hear him now, because this is my guy who lied. Wasn't going to be here on this day.
And who's louder than the other people's guy?
Well, he'll be right outside my window. He'll be outside the office window here.
Now that you've seen him, can you get a beat on him from outside the window?
Well, Jim,
that'll teach him.
Are you being unfair to Liv Morgan? It could have been anyone in that role. I mean, like you said, Rhea threw herself into the thing.
Well, but it had to be her. That who would give a shit to see that anyway? Rhea's twice as big as her. Rhea Ripley takes pills bigger than her, and she is between her and Alexa Bliss on who can do the most shit that would kill a normal human being and 100-pound blonde get up unscathed. I'm fucking sick of it. But what were you going to say?
No, that was kind of it. Sad to see Rhea Ripley out. Obviously affects Judgment Day. But that was another segment, I guess, right after this.
Well, anyway, so then we get to the rest of the program. Sheamus is back. He's been out for a while. I don't recall us missing him, but he's back now. And he beat Ivan the Viking. Drew McIntyre has completely remade himself, and we love him now. His personality, his promos, his matches. Well, mostly personality and promos, but the matches. Can Sheamus do it? Or is he going to be pale and fishy white and boring for the rest of his life? Got odds on that?
You know, he's been there a very long time. I know he's been injured, but he's been there a long time. I'm not excited about his return. But let's see what they do. All they can do is make me excited. It can't get any worse.
It can't get any more disinteresting. The package they did on Sami beating Gunther for the Intercontinental title. I'm sad it had to happen, but since it did, is that the NFL Films voiceover guy? Did you hear this? Was that the actual? That's the voice, right?
It may have been. I wasn't paying attention.
This was great. You missed something you should have seen. This was great. This seems to be the new television production chief, the new TV production outlook, and the UFC influence in making these videos where even though this was it's a work, it looked like a goddamn sporting video about a guy fulfilling a quest for a championship. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
And it would talked about also with his help that he got from Chad Gable now in tonight's Intercontinental title match against Chad. And the comments and the music and the whole thing. This was great work. And it's more serious. It's more professional than and I've always said that WWE does good packages. I've always put their studio over and the production people they had underneath Kevin Dunn. When you would, like you know who Dave Sahadi is. David Sahadi was when they started doing the cold opens with the dramatic voiceovers and the really artfully done video packages back in the 90s Attitude Era for all the big pay-per-views. That was Dave Sahadi. He was writing them. He was supervising the editing. And then, of course, Kevin Dunn made him feel so disrespected and unappreciated that he left and went to TNA and did the same thing there for the late 2000s. A very creative guy. But the point is, they would get guys in the studio, the young video editors and the technicians and whatever, they could do good shit when you basically left them alone and had them come up with something. And then they could show it and run it by Kevin and he'd bless it or whatever and take credit for it. But that's been a strong point of their operation. But now that they're getting these shots live, because where Kevin Dunn was in charge was the overall look of the production and the television show live. Now they're getting younger and more experienced people and more professional people at the top so that they have the pieces to work with on doing stuff like this. And that's why Kevin Dunn, as we've talked about, worked for one company in television production for one company his entire life from the time he was a teenager. So what great jarring revelations in television between 1984 and 2024 was he on the cutting edge of, right? And so now they've replaced that. And anyway, I think that was a piece of work. You ought to go out of your way to try to see that, as the kids say. The new style of videos they're doing. And then they went back to the old style shit. Did you watch Triple H came to the ring with Adam Pearce, and I thought we're going to see something here. And then Triple H says at WrestleMania, a new era started. We're going to see something here. And then Adam Pearce says, we have two tag team champions, which now we're starting to not make any sense again. And they deserve titles they can be proud of. And I thought, why wouldn't they be proud of winning the titles? And then, he means belts. They got new belts they're going to give out. And then here comes Miz and R-Truth, and automatically I didn't care. Because I know where this is going. And they gave them new, better-looking World Tag Team title belts, not Raw Tag Team title belts. And then Truth did his stuff that's supposed to be funny, and I skipped this whole goddamn rest of this thing. And they went right into the three-way for the number one contender for the tag team title with the Creeds and Ciampa and Same Face and the New Day. But did you have any comments on this interview and presentation before I move on?
Yeah, and the guy's driving around on his fucking lawnmower right behind
Oh,
me.
boy. Well, I'm telling you, get the slingshot out. Knock him right off that seat.
No, that's the window that's closed. Did I have any more thoughts on this? They're going to burn out people being excited about Triple H appearances if they don't make them special.
Yeah.
New tag belts are cool, I guess. I don't really think they're that good looking. Just go back to the old design from the 80s. It's my opinion.
Well, these look better than those silver hubcaps they did have.
And that's true. If you're into the if you're into the R-Truth comedy, it was entertaining watching him interact with Triple H. If you're not into that and don't find it cute, you probably didn't have a lot of time for this segment.
If, like you said, they need to keep Triple H more special than coming out to give tag team belts to mid-card guys.
Pierce could have done this.
Pierce could have done it just fine. Or as Michael Cole called him, the middle management stooge. And they had a match where they ended up with two winners of a goddamn wrestling match for the first time apparently in history that had won two different titles. So they split the belts up again, and that just belts everywhere. And while they're saying that this is the strongest tag team division ever, Miz and R-Truth are champions of one show. The Creeds, Ciampa and Same Face and New Day are having a triple threat match. That's the goddamn strongest tag team roster ever. Fucking Christ on a cracker. And Tommaso and Goofball won the three-way that went across the 9 o'clock hour. So these are all the tag teams are just underneath, kind of maybe middle. And there's multiple champions, and nobody's going to care. That's just my thought. Speaking of not caring, would you like to know what the next match was?
Sure.
Indy Hartwell and Candy LeRae against Model Girl and Ivy Nile. One of those. Is it LaRue or LeRae? I can't remember.
Candice, I think it's LeRae.
So there was a nice package on Damian Priest. That's what she said, Doctor. 10 years ago, he was homeless and apparently fat, too, from the pictures. He's fat. And what a transformation. He looked really outlaw in these old pictures, but now he looks good, and they had commercial music. They credited the artist. I've never heard of her, so she's obviously contemporary. But a great music video. This is the push that we thought that they would be giving him a while back, but they got distracted. And it might have been better to push him at that point instead of now. But at least they're finally doing it. But another good, the videos were the best thing on this program last Monday night. Did you skip that too?
No, I did see it. It is pretty, glaring when you see what he looked like 10 years ago. It's like another human being. Anyone could do it. Between him and Gunther, these guys who looked like they were naturally bigger guys got into great shape. Anyone could do it. You hear the gardener?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. If I was you, we're going to get a lot of complaints about that gardener.
Yeah. I'm here live from the Mekong Delta. You may hear some of the things happening in the background.
I'd fire him if I were you, because people are going to quit listening to the show now because of that.
Will they hear it this time? Is this loud enough?
Well, yeah, because what you're doing is you've got a goddamn electric razor in a bathtub, and you're fucking next to the bathroom so that we think that we can finally hear this fucking fictitious gardener. And now I can't hear anything.
He's driving away. I muted myself for a moment to rescue everyone, and now he's driving away.
Anyway, so earlier in that day, Jackie Redmond interviewed Chad Gable and about his match with Sami tonight for the Intercontinental title. He was very babyface and well-spoken, articulate, and he raised the point that he knows Sami's weaknesses from training him and training with him all this time. And this was good, but I also came away with it. Jackie Redmond is the best female interviewer in the business. She's actually the only one that ought to be involved in it, because she actually sounds like a sideline sports reporter instead of some girl standing up on fucking camera reciting a memorized question in a worked situation to get a memorized answer. Do you get that vibe from old Jackie?
I think she's really good. Again, she's the one I like because she just calls Michael Cole Cole, which I find funny. She's talented. Obviously, she's done other things. I want to say someone said she did hockey, or maybe it was, I don't know what it was, but she's...
Oh boy, if she played hockey and still came out that pretty, she must have been really fucking good.
As a commentator, that's only if she's Canadian. That would be the case. But she's really good, and I think also this is an example of the difference in the way they treat commentators under Vince and Kevin Dunn and under Lee Fitting. They treat them as serious entities that they may be pretty, but they're not asking bubble-headed questions.
You bubble-headed booby.
Oh dear.
Speaking of boobies, no, a girls' match wasn't next. God damn it, what a great transition that would have been. It was Andrade versus Dominic Mysterio. In this long-running feud that they've got going on, JD Funko tried to help, but Andrade nailed him and then hit his finish on Dominic 1, 2, 3. They can always beat Dominic. He's going to have heat regardless. But then the heels get back on Andrade, and suddenly, here comes Rick O'Shea. And he saved the day, and the heels powdered. And the entire O'Shea family should be proud of him. Did you notice that Cody Rhodes is now doing a spot plugging the wrestler in the Olympics for NBC as cross-promotion?
I saw that.
That was kind of neat. Cody's got a little amateur background also. But that's, again, in what universe, if the Olympics was on TBS, in what universe can you see John Moxley or whoever being asked to do a network goddamn commercial for the Olympics plugging the amateur wrestler from the United States? I think not. And then we got Piper and Chelsea against Caden and Katana. And then Liv Morgan was in the back, and I'm like, is this WOW or Glow or what the fuck? Just girls, girls, girls. Girls, girls, girls. And she's confused why people are mad at her, because when she got hurt before, blah, blah, blah. Well, the reason they're mad at you is because Rhea Ripley's a superstar, and we blame you. So shut the fuck up. So finally, at 9:57 p.m., we get Cody's entrance. I wrote, finally. Finally, some star power here. And it was perfect. He was in the ring at 10 o'clock for Cole to do the still to comes. And they had the graphics right at 10 o'clock when people are switching around or whatever the fuck they're doing. They land on the ring where the biggest star in the company, the champion, is in the ring, and Michael Cole is announcing their main event with graphics on it. Perfect timing. And the crowd olayed him. Ole, 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 ole. Now, I thought that was Spanish. Is that French? Because they're in Montreal.
I don't know. Every time they do it, I don't know where it comes from. They used to do it for Jose Reyes on the Mets. I don't know. It's a soccer thing, I think other people have said. I don't know.
Well, now, soccer isn't Spanish as much as it is European, right?
Right.
But what does that have to do with the French people? And why then, if it's about a soccer deal...
Did you ever think maybe it was a tribute to Ole Anderson?
Well, why does the bullfighter say ole? Ole, ole, ole.
He doesn't sing the song, I don't think, to the bull.
Well, I thought that's how they called
I don't know
the
if you're
bull
necessarily
down.
an expert in bullfighting, Mr. Hemingway. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, no, I thought that music has the charms to soothe the savage beast. I thought they sung ole, ole, ole to calm the bull down so they could fucking skewer him.
Well,
anyway,
yeah.
They olayed him and they chanted Cody, and then he asked them what they wanted to talk about in French. He said, "Parlez-vous, oui, oui." And they pissed right all over him. And he's going to face either LA Knight or AJ Styles in France coming up. And I think we know what that's going to be, unfortunately, because we don't want to see LA Knight do a job, but we don't want to see LA Knight versus Cody. And he thanks Seth watching at home, and then the crowd said, "Thank you, Seth." And then he started talking about The Rock. And Brian, would they be talking this much about a match that they don't ever plan on having?
They're setting up next year's WrestleMania, I think.
And the gift, apparently, that was passed and then put in the hand and blah, 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 was the watch that Dusty pawned a long time ago to send Cody to wrestling school or whatever that story was.
And in the press conference after WrestleMania, he said he got it from, I think, Triple H and Bruce and Nick Khan.
Well, this watch is being passed around like an old hooer. But anyway, Cody said if he was going to bleed, then The Rock is going to bleed with him. And then he brought up Tama Tonga joining the Bloodline. He said, we got questions about the Bloodline. Here's who we got to talk to. And he brought out main event Jey Uso. They are going to try to push him, Jey Uso being him, as the guy on Raw, apparently. And how the fuck well do you think that's going to work from what we've seen over the past few weeks?
I don't know about that.
Yeah. Cody put Jey over and he offered to watch his back tonight, but Jey, I said, I got to do it on my own because I'm the Yeet Master, Mr. Yeet Down. He started gesturing to the fans now when he wants them to say Yeet. This is going to get old, and it already is, and it's going to backfire on him. The ridiculous rock. The ridiculous rock hot dogging on the fucking punches and the spit punch and the slap punch and the insistence on conducting the crowd with the facial or the arm gestures whenever he says yeet. He ain't that over. And I think he's miffing some people a little bit with doing that because it's too much. Let them do it, but don't tell them when they got to do it. LA Knight came up with that actually as a heel, remember? And he was doing it for himself, and the people got with him doing it. But he didn't start out trying to instruct them and everything to goddamn do, and it wasn't so just hot doggy. Do you know what I'm saying? Am I relating this correctly?
He must be selling merch. People seem to pop for him. But to me, I agree with you. Also, I'm sick of yeet. It's overdone. Now it's just stupid.
To be honest, I think yeet is what's floating him. Because the work is not there and the promo is not there. He's got the word and the catchphrase and the thing he can put on his shirts and his glasses. But if they get tired of that and they get tired of him acting like his shit don't stink, it's going to backfire on him.
I'll disagree with you on one thing. I think he does have the promo.
But when he was promoting the family, when he was telling the story, when he was promoting his brother, but when he's just doing with the fans, and I'm the Yeet Master, Mr. Yeet Down.
That's bad. I agree with that. That's
I'm just saying. And then Cody left and saying, "Until we yeet again." So that was to set up. Jay's out there now. He's got a match with Finn Balor. And Finn comes from behind and jumps Jay in the ring. And they have a match. And as we've said, we don't really want to see any of the Uso matches. It's about what it always is. And finally, Uso hit him with a spear and a splash off the top and beat him 1, 2, 3. And then we get back into the exciting part because now Priest comes out and has a face-off with Jay and is holding the belt up. And JD and Dom jump Uso from behind and start kicking the shit out of him. And Priest is pissed. And like, what are you doing? He doesn't join in. So now he's in the ostrich position over here. But then Uso fights back and levels the 3 heels that were on him and left through the crowd. So again, they're doing everything for this guy, Jay, to where 3 heels can't stop him or beat him up or whatever. But then the next part was, it could have been anybody but Jay, but it was the story was the shot. The way that they did this, it had a lot of people talking about it on Twitter. It was neat, not yeet, but neat in its own way. When Jay goes up through the crowd and goes out in the concourse of the arena, there's a camera following him. And of course, there's fans lined up, and you can tell they've got them kind of lined off because they got their security there. But they prepped the shot, but it's a continuous shot. Jay goes past the fans and he's yeeting them, and he goes past concessions and down a hall and walks outside of the arena and sees Sami standing there staring up in the air, looking at the arena. And they start talking, and this is all still a shot. And Sami says, the first wrestling card I ever saw was in this arena 25 years ago, and now I'm walking in the same way through the front door. And that's what he does. He leaves Jay, same continuous shot, continuous live shot, and he comes in the same way Jay just left. And he's firing the fans up. And when he gets to the open area, the vomitorium, I believe is the official term, when you're the place where you leave an arena or enter the main part of the arena. And he goes in there, you see the crowd instantly in the arena appears, and everybody's fucking cheering and going batshit. This was some Orson Welles Touch of Evil camera work shit. There at least, it's you don't even know to look for it until it starts, and then you're like, wow, that was fucking cool. They spent some time blocking that and working it out. And by the way, I'll let you make your comment, but I'll ask you this. What did Sami Zayn do right before he left the crowd of people that greeted him and went down the stairs to go to the ring?
He went into the restroom and took a piss.
No, he grabbed a Canadian flag to use as a cape and draped it around himself, risking forevermore that his best bosom buddy, Kevin Steen, would say, oh, that's so corny. The Canadian flag? Dipshit. Anyway, what'd you think of this all the way through the sea of people?
They have done some stuff production-wise recently. Single shot stuff that has been incredible. This was great. Sami going through the hallway, pumping up the fans and them screaming, realizing what's happening, was really cool. Everything that's happened over the past couple months, but really it seems like the talk and how noticeable it is has been amped up over the last month or so. It's the best the show has ever looked. And there's little things they're introducing, just the way they're producing the interviewers, the way they're doing some of this backstage stuff, or this big entrance. They don't have the big Tron for every show. I love what they're doing production-wise right now.
They don't need to cover up all those empty seats anymore. And that's helped out the atmosphere in the arena because it looks more like a wrestling show again with people everywhere. And I've always said they got a network quality television production facility up there in Stamford, but now I'm seeing that network has made leaps and bounds of improvements and changes. And they've finally caught up with them. So anyway, it's time for our main event in Montreal, Sami's hometown. Sami Zayn Intercontinental title match against Chad Gable that trained him and motivated him and gave him the will to do this. And Even after that shot and all this setup and the big intros and everything, they still went a minute to the break. I'm like, God damn. When you don't want to see the matches, you want breaks so you can zip through them. But when you want to see the matches, it's frustrating. But they started out nice wrestling, fast spots. They're pushing Gable strongly again as a former Olympian instead of Shoosh Boy. And I'm pretty sure this Alpha Academy will either go away or undergo a massive overhaul. Can we assume that it was just Vince all along that was preventing us from seeing Gable as a talent and he was being presented as a joke? I guess it has to be.
Triple H never presented him as a joke. Remember in NXT, he was with American Alpha, and they were part of that's how we discovered FTR, the Revival, was having those great matches. He came up, he became Shorty G, then he became the shush guy. You realize as he's presented seriously, and I love the stuff they did with him and Gunther, he's not just really good, but if you present him seriously, there's an opportunity there to do something with him.
Yeah, and I think they may be going to capitalize on it. And he not only can work, he can do the moves, but he's getting it. He's getting the fucking, I hesitate to use the word psychology anymore. It's overused so much, but he's getting the psychology of the business and how to do this. Anyway, they had a nice match. They took another break in it. I wrote nice match if I could see it. But the way that they did set up, Gable did not heel per se when he was in control. It's because he was working illegally on the leg, the knee that Sami had slipped on the ropes and hurt, blah, blah, blah. So it's not like he's gouging eyes or kicking balls or whatever. And they had the only part of this match I didn't agree with when they did the German exchange. Gunther Gable Williams, Gable hit the angle slam off the top rope on Sami. Boom. And then he gives him 2 German suplexes. But then Sami does a standing switch and gives Gable 2 German suplexes. Then Gable switches, gives Sami 1. Then Sami gives Gable 1. I'm like, fuck, please leave the German suplex alive. Don't kill the whole goddamn thing in one match. And otherwise, and then Sami gave Gable the last one on his head. But besides that, they had a good match. Sami can sell. Gunther was very talented. He can work. And they ended up really having nice sequences at the end. And then finally, Gable did the moonsault, but Sami put his foot up. But then Gable grabbed the foot and got an ankle lock and cranked it for a long time. And then suddenly, Sami did a roll-up, got a 2 count, suplexed Gable into the buckle, hit his kick, and covered him 1, 2, 3. Got a big pop, Sami in his hometown. And after the big celebration, then Sami was laid the belt out, and Gable's in the corner. He's clearly upset and near tears, and Sami lays the belt out and shows him and helps him up. And Gable kind of, reluctantly raises Sami's hand like, he's the better man, and he leaves. And Sami rolls out and goes to hug his family. And that's when Gable comes back and grabs him and gives him a German suplex on the floor. And the people actually booed. Because it was like, okay, they built this. There's some emotional connection between these people. They went through this whole thing, and now Gable stabbed him in the back. And Gable posted him and threw him over the desk and posted him again and got the ankle lock on him around the turnbuckle. And, they're going to finally make him serious, hopefully, even though he's small, he's got all that talent. He can talk and work, and you can get something out of it. And that's why I was screaming about Shoosh Boy all that time. They should have known that they were going to do this eventually. And it would have taken better and quicker without the previous caca that people have to forget. That's why I never want to, if you can't use a guy in a positive position, fire him. Don't fucking just use him like a goddamn dipshit till everybody's sick of seeing him. because then you've ruined the rest of his career and you've devalued somebody you're paying. If you can't fucking use him in a positive fashion, or if he's not just there to get other people over, fire his ass and bring him back when you got room for him. But anyway, hopefully they're kicking our boy Gable into high gear here.
Well, let's see. If you wanted to get him away from the whole shush thing, a heel turn is the move to make. It's not just keep him a babyface and make him more serious. It's a complete break.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see where they go with this. And Gunther hasn't been around since he lost the belt. So let's see where... I guess maybe they're holding him off till the draft, now that I think about it.
Well, yeah, because you never know when he could have to report to the Selective Service any day now.
Well, that was WWE Raw, live from Montreal. Jim, perhaps you listen to this show today and you think, those two are half-assing it. You may want to sue!
Well, I'll tell you what. I have heard this man in action. I have heard this man tear into the jugular veins of his opponent in an open courtroom in the pursuit of justice. And you don't want to be on the other side of this man when he starts asking you about how much you got and where you've stashed it. And that's the man, the myth, and the legend, this man.
Call Stephen P. News. If you need to sue. An outlaw mud show or two. He'll sue the rest.
Yes, folks, if you have been harassed or wrongfully terminated or assaulted by people's negligence or assholery or illegality, the man to turn to, Stephen P. New at newlawoffice.com, 877-50-STEVE. And I'll tell you what, when he's staring at somebody in the courtroom, he's going to find out what they got, where they put it, and how quick he can get a hold of it to get you paid and make you whole again. Stephen P. New's motto in court is, I know who you are, and I saw what you did, and I know what you did with the evidence.
You can't drive away. You can't drive away in your Tesla or in your G-Wagon or whatever it may be. He will get you.
You cannot drive away in any of those vehicles without them being impounded and possibly sold to pay your creditors. But nevertheless, from California to Maine to Spain on a choo-choo train, Stephen P. New, newlawoffice.com, 877-50-STEVE. He's going to go and he's going to claw back what has been taken from you. That's the royal you, of course.
The royal
you as in a complete group of you.
Not me.
Rather than you, the individual you.
Yeah, leave me alone.
But he'll be clawing some of your shit too.
The metaphorical you, not me.
Clawing it back. No, your actual shit. He'll get some of your shit back too.
For what? What did I do?
Some of my shit back too. He's going to get some of everybody's shit back for him.
You're saying he's like Robin Hood.
He robs Peter to pay Paul. Or no, that's not what Robin Hood did.
That's not.
Robin Hood did something else. He
made merry.
If he was the king of the forest, that's what Robin Hood did. If he was the king of the forest, Sherwood Forest. Not Prince, not Duke, not Earl, but Stephen.
Sherwood Schwartz.
Sherwood Schwartz there, who started that forest and instituted a conservation campaign that exists to this day in many South Sea islands.
Stephen P. New.
That's him, not Sherwood Schwartz, but Stephen P. New.
Stephen P. New, 877-50-STEVE.
Do you think that Sherwood had a number 87750 Sherwood?
I don't think so. I'm not sure if 877 was around yet.
Well, no. 877, along with all the other numbers, has been around for a couple thousand years now.
Well,
how do you think they were able to number the year BC?
You are indeed correct. Numbers have been around for a long time.
In the year 1100, listen to me. I'm trying to talk sense to you. In the year 1100 BC, what year did they call it?
don't know.
Because think about this. If it was the 1100 BC is before the birth of Christ, right? Before Christ, 1100 BC. That's the line of demarcation. Well, how did they know that anybody was going to be born 1100 years from now? So what year was it to them then there? See?